Good ID design, Heathcliff, by me. Oi bloke, this is good ID design, yeah? This is a mini-series where I cover IDs I don't often talk about and my appreciation for them, going over their particular strengths or weaknesses and what makes them well-designed, in my opinion, not yours. While the aim is to talk about only one ID per video to make these short and sweet, I might mention another here and there to show my appreciation. I'll discuss team compositions they work in, and all claims made are assuming that they are in the best composition for them. Today's ID we'll be covering is Double Trouble! For the first time in this series, we will be covering multiple IDs. Not only am I breaking my own rules, but I have a reason for doing so. Heathcliff is my favorite sinner. Really just tied with Dawn and Onglu, but shh, they don't need to know that. Major warning, this video contains spoilers for CANTO 5. I'll be discussing a major character Heathcliff is based on and her lore. If you wish to avoid that, it will be stamped in the video timeline for where you can skip to and when the spoilers start. The attention to detail for Heathcliff. While this ID is majorly viewed as a bit lackluster nowadays due to practically being fully replaced by Kirkoma Heathcliff and his broken synergy with Kirkoma Ishmael, a lot of gameplay elements / design choices for this ID are still very interesting and he's still pretty substantial. He's an off-tank with a gimmick on revenge damage, gaining defensive value, and buffs on envy resonance that actually has ties directly to Heathcliff's character and the main story both in design and in gameplay. The biggest flaws in his toolkit are mainly his very conditional bleed count application that requires a lot of setup and reliance on envy resonance, despite being a hybrid poise / bleed ID, two keywords most noted for pride and lust resonance. Heathcliff and her connections to the middle. We all know Heathcliff's connections to the middle for war, but you know she actually reflects them for gameplay? Alongside every middle enemy you face in this game, Heathcliff is notably weak to blunt and utilizes majority envy skills outside of her counter and a few wrath skills. This connection, funnily enough, gives Heathcliff a good enough reason to be slotted in for envy res teams due to how he interacts with envy res. He's almost a middle ID. Almost. Why does he have 10 bleed count? The potential to inflict upwards of 10 bleed count on critical hit depending on bleed potency is just broken. It's niche and it's reliant on sanguine bond setup / poise maintenance from previous turns, and you have a chance of not even getting it, but it's just crazy as a concept and not completely useless considering if the enemy has 30 potency, you can just gain 50% chance of critical hit anyways. Not to forget to mention, this ID himself can inflict 6 potency in one skill depending on how low HP he is, which is extremely easy to manage given his tankiness and innate aggro on skills. Is Heathcliff good ID design? Yeah, there's some elements I did not mention, like him getting 4 poise count off of his skill 1, which easily maintains the benefits of gaining potency off bleed on his skill 2, and his defense level ups on counter depending on poise, a pretty easy upkeep, allowing him to tank blows on top of his passive that gives him both offense level and defense level based on how many units were hit, including himself for a max of 9, which, holy shit, yeah, there's a lot of ups to say about this ID. He's not the best, he's gimmicky, and 100% outclassed due to newer IDs, but he's insanely fun to utilize, and that's enough to make him good IDs design for me. Peep my GF's fat-ass cat. Speaking of IDs with count, 7 Heathcliff, huge cock-positive count gaming. One of the best supportive pre-Season 6 Rupture IDs in the game alongside Lantern Don Quixote. Funny enough, he actually supports the Heisho team due to his combat passive making him inflict +1 potency and having access to 2 different types of damage? What is 7 Heathcliff's weakness? Clashing. That's it. Well, his clashing maximum is 16 with conditionals and his damage output is low. This ID is insane otherwise and should be viewed more as a supportive ID than your main DPS / clasher. You might think this is bad considering how one of his conditionals for maintaining count on his skill 2 relies on winning clash, but there's also weaker skills on enemies you can clash with, and also the factor that it is a 1 coin skill that inflicts +2 count on hit. It's going to be insanely positive anyways. Also, an unconditional 16 rolling skill 2 is pretty standard anyways, which is surprising considering how early on this ID released. +6 rupture potency on skill 3. Utilizing his combat passive on stagger enemies or / weak enemies, 7 Heathcliff can only go -1 negative on count while inflicting upwards of 6 rupture potency overall, comparative to other rupture potency focused IDs who are -2 to 4 on regular when inflicting rupture potency. The potency just gets crazier. What the hell do you mean his skill 1 is his best potency applier? 2 to 4 rupture normally and 4 to 8 with weakness conditionals? Are you kidding me? To trade off this, the skill is entirely negative, but only by -2 count, which is easily maintained by his skill 2. Hero does it all in terms of upkeep for the stats, both in potency and count. Is Heathcliff good ID design? Yes. Heathcliff is good ID design. You don't need me to tell you this. For how simple he is on paper, he's pretty damn valuable for building up a Rupture team even in endgame. As he's a 2-star by design, he's actually insanely easy for newcomers to attain. For how simple he is, Heathcliff provides some decent work that can supplement any real Rupture team. Don't sleep on this guy. Despite newer ID releases, I think he's still good. Unk still got it. Until I bring you back to this world. Any other Heathcliff IDs you think qualify as good ID design? Anything I skipped regarding this ID, or in this case, IDs, that you want to cover personally? Have a good day, be good people.